was. It looked like it was mud. I don't know what it was. It was a flying saucer or what it was. It wasn't an airplane. It was not an airplane. It was down awfully low.
You're listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast with your hosts, Ash Ellis and Greg Tomlinson.
Welcome to Pursuit of the Paranormal Roundtable. We are back with the first roundtable in a while, and we've got a bit of a full house this time with some returning guests and brand new guests for the first time. So I'm looking forward to this. First up, Greg, you still here? How's it going?
I'm still here. 2 nights on the trot, as we just discussed. Yeah, I'm all good. You?
Yeah, I'm very well. Looking forward to chatting to everyone today. And we have returning from the Paranormal or What podcast, Michaela Ford. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to be back. I would do that, but I can't. I've broken my little finger. You can't tell from here, but I've just taken my wrapping off. So I can't move this hand very well, so I can only stick my thumbs up.
Gosh.
My right hand doesn't work at the moment.
How do you mark papers with you?
You don't. You just go, hooray, no marking because I've broken my fingers.
Awesome. And on the show for the first time is Daryl Paraman UK. How are you doing, Daryl?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Awesome. So we'll kick off a few topics and we get everyone's thoughts on different things, and we'll just see where the conversation takes us. And so the first topic we're going to kind of talk about is a topic that I know is probably Greg's favourite topic. He's currently working on something to do with this, which I'll let him go into maybe a little bit. So Poltergeists. Some quite famous ones. So yeah, Greg.
Yeah, so I was thinking about talking and discussing whether or not poltergeists are paranormal or whether they are some kind of interdimensional entity, because when we talk to people about their experiences, particularly with UAPs, for example, there's a lot of people that experience poltergeist activity as a youngster and grow up to have UFO UAP sightings. You've got Skinwalker Ranch, for example. There's lots of paranormal and UAP related activity, same as Stardust Ranch when we spoke to John Edmonds there. So my question is around, do we think that there is an element of poltergeist activity that could be attributed to the fact that they're not paranormal in the sense of the word that we see now, but are they entities from somewhere else? Because they don't fit into the typical like stone tape theory, any kind of residual hauntings. They're like their own category of spirit, and the activity starts off small, rapping sounds, knocking sounds, and can go right up to violence and such like, and then just drops off. And I don't know if that's a fear thing that they're feeding on, and then it just drops off at the end because the families become sort of they turn on the poltergeist, like the people in the Enfield poltergeist haunting. At the end, they were like, "Well, we're not going out the house. You can do whatever you want, and we're not moving." They become quite steadfast in the fact that these poltergeists are not going to drive them out of their own house. So I just don't know if there's something different to a poltergeist compared to a normal haunting, and does that make them some kind of different kind of dimensional entity? I have no opinion on that. I just it's thoughts that I have.
So who wants to take that on? No?
Well, I think I will, because if you think about it, we have energy and we can actually produce enough energy to affect stuff. Like, I had a friend years ago who, obviously, every time you touched him, you'd get shocked. even if you did, the thing to whatever it's called, it would always do it. You'd always get it. And one day, went into a kitchen, and he went to pick up a cup, and this cup was on the side. It was, he'd put it there earlier, and then just walked back in to get it, and he literally went to grab it, but the cup flew off the side. Now, at the time, we didn't know if his house was haunted or not, and we looked into it, and apparently only one person had died in the house, but it's a bit weird how he had no activity the whole time he's there, for him to go in that kitchen, to go to pick up that cup, for that cup to fly off the side. Now, I think poltergeist activity is spiritual way you live in, and like Greg says, could be, was it UAP? I can never get used to that word, UAP now. It's UFO to me. Sorry, people. But I think it could be a combination of all. And it depends on, you're alive, you're dead, the energy, if it is a spirit, whether that spirit's angry or it's just able to move things or do stuff.
So to go back, thank you for that. And it's actually part of the book that I'm writing is called Poltergeists, Paranormal or Manifestations of an Adolescent Mind. So there's lots of studies, like you said, people have got energy, they create static electricity. There is a theory that adolescents, and this mainly prepubescent girls, they have this sort of internal turmoil. What with all the stuff that goes on in an adolescent's body, and this sort of rage and all these emotions, and they actually outward project it, and that's what causes this manifestation of a poltergeist. But then I'm thinking, is that right, or is it something else? I don't know. But that's what my book's about. So it's interesting you say about the electricity and the static for your friend. About you, Michaela?
Well, I think it's really hard because things happen around me. Excuse me, wherever I go. One of the main things that I think it is PSK, psychokinesis. And the reason I think that is because things happen to me. Objects move around me all the time. I can't do it at will, but it happens all the time. And when I even go to other people's houses, it only just struck me actually last weekend. And it's happened for years. All the houses that I've ever lived in, objects have moved around in. When I was at college, objects moved around there. Other people's houses, it happens in. And then I was with my friends in Bristol last weekend, and I was just in the bedroom packing things up, and a camera was on a bookshelf. It was like an underwater camera, so it wasn't the actual camera, it was the plastic, kind of solid plastic cover for the camera, and it just jumped off the shelf onto the floor. And I'm so used to it happening, I just picked it up and went, oh, that's weird. And then I noticed this book that I wanted to read, and I was like, oh, I wonder if somebody was trying to tell me that I should read this book. That's the way my mind works. And then afterwards I thought, no, actually, because I spoke to the people who live there, and they said literally they've had nothing paranormal happen ever in their house. So I started to think, is it me? Is it me that has some sort of energy that things move around? I've had literally hundreds of incidents in my life of things, objects moving by themselves. And funnily enough, just this week, I've been mulling it over and thinking, is it something to do with me? So that's one theory that I have, that it is definitely, there is something in energy from people. There is something about it, I think, that can move things, whether mostly not at will, sadly. it would be great to be able to be sat there, go, pass me my cup of tea, and just think about it. My cup of tea comes floating over to me. But there's also so much evidence of other types of poltergeist activity that I think it must be more than one thing. I think more than one thing must cause those things to happen, and must influence inanimate objects to move. Because, as you say, there is a lot of there's a lot of stories of things moving in connection with seeing UFOs and UAPs. There's also the really famous cases like 30 East Drive and the Enfield haunting, and the other one, which I've forgotten the name of at the moment, the three most famous ones in the UK, where this energy could move people as well as objects. And move really heavy things and apparate things out of thin air and throw things across the room. And they seem to be connected to energies that people have given names to, and been able to talk to as if they were some sort of human type energy. So I think it's a real mystery, and I think there's a lot more to it than it just being one thing. So that's a very long way of saying I think it's more than one thing.
How about you, Ash?
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of not been a subject that I've personally looked into that much. Obviously, know about the famous cases. We might be the Battersea one you were referring to as well.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, I knew it began with B, but my memory is absolutely shit because I'm old.
You got the South Sea Poltergeist as well, and there's one in Wales. Can't remember the name of that one. But like I say, yours seem to be very similar. And when you look at like the similarities, it's just kind of throws up there as to what is causing it. And Greg mentioned is it interdimensional, and that could we kind of use that as a quite a broad term because it's very nice. It fits very nicely to explain a lot of things by saying interdimensional. They're on a different plane or whatever, or they can come into our dimension and do stuff. There's lots of reports from Skinwalker, like you said, from Stardust, and from places in the UK where people are physically seeing like a portal open up and able to see people like on the other side of this portal. So something that's on the other side of these portals or these areas or these other places, wherever they are, can kind of reach into our dimension and mess around with shit. Because it's a bit random. It's like if I could go into a different dimension and influence stuff, like it seems a bit weird. It's like I'm gonna move a pen, or I'm gonna move a cup. I'm gonna knock a chair over. I'd be like, I don't know, buying lottery tickets or something like something a bit more bigger, something a bit more, I don't know, like that have a bit more of a impact. I don't, you know what I'm trying to say? Like a bit more, do it more than kind of like focusing in one place or in one house and just kind of messing with one family. It seems a bit like they were able to come from somewhere else and do that. And you look at this dimensional theory, why would they just do it in one place? Unless they're constricted and they can only do that. Like they can only have limited powers, maybe, or powers, lack of a better word. They can only kind of influence a little bit. It takes up too much energy. Like when you think of, trying to think of what the show's called, where they could control stuff in the mind, but like it took a lot of their kind of focus and energy to just do it a little bit.
There was a program when I was little called Bewitched, and that was a little girl, and she used to be able to get things to come to her.
Yeah, like
Sabrina,
kind of
Teenage Witch. Is that what you're after, Ash?
It could be, you know.
Is it the Wicked of the Nose?
That's the one.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, and I think not all the same. Like think of relating it back to UAP and UFOs again. People report seeing so many different variations. So what could be classified as a poltergeist, but they're experiencing it in different ways. Could still be the same thing. It's just how it's affecting them. We always say things that a lot of paranormal stuff that happens to people is quite personal to them, or it's kind of displaying itself in a way that they can relate to it. So that's why it's kind of different for each person. So there's a lot of similarities, but the differences between them is just because they are different, but they are the same thing as well. I'm not really totally sure what point I'm trying to make. I think I started rambling a little bit, but yeah, I guess that was my thoughts on that kind of interdimensional side of it. If any of that just made any sense at all.
Can I
Yeah.
add something on as well? So I've got a book, and it's called. I did an episode on it. If anyone wants to listen, right at the beginning of when I started doing my my podcast, and it was called Jots. I don't know if you've heard of them. JOTTS. And this lady who did loads and loads of research into things going missing and moving, it was called Just One of Those Things. So she called it Jots. And this relates more to the idea of, you know, when you lose your keys and you look in the place that they were and you look there 10 times and then you walk away and you come back and there your keys are. And you go, I looked there and they weren't there. And it just happens all the time. And even my husband does it now. And he's a massive skeptic. Yesterday, but it makes me laugh. It's always his vape juice. So it's always something to do with his vapor. It's like somebody's really messing about with him. And he was storming around the house. Oh, I can't find my vape juice. I'm going to be late. Oh. And then I heard this. That wasn't there from the living room. It just appeared in the middle of the coffee table, which is a kind of sort of poltergeist type activity, really. And I've had two separate people, and I've probably told you this before, and if I have, I'm sorry for repeating myself. But I interviewed two completely separate people. One, a woman I work with, and one, a woman who lived in Ireland. And they both had a very, very similar experience. And they had things moving around all the time and going missing. And they both saw, this just sounds mental, a little brown figure, a little brown, almost like a stick man. So a man that looked a little bit like a wizened old elf. He had brown skin, a bit like the bark of a tree trunk. And they caught him, both people in different countries, different times. They caught this little creature jumping into a hole in reality and zipping it up behind him. So they kept having things going missing, you know, like socks and all that sort of crap. And both of them completely separated, different years, different times. So this little brown figure, and it had been caught because they'd walked in the bedroom and it had sort of looked, and then it had jumped into this kind of weird wavy bit, almost like a tear in reality. And it had jumped through it, and then it had kind of gone like this, and then it was just the room again. So make of that what you will.
Wow.
And that's true. That's true according to these two separate people that I interviewed, which really gives you some food for thought when you're thinking about interdimensional, you know, creatures.
It would be good to know what actually does that, because I've had that happen to me so many times. And the weird thing is, it happens with my vapes, and it's my mates had it as well, and it's vapes. And like, I'm thinking they got to think about vapes.
Yeah, I think they must be fascinated.
Yeah, but it's amazing.
Funny story relating to vape. So we was in Scotland last month filming, and Abby vapes, and she lost one of her favorite vape. Whatever. I don't know. I don't really know what they are. It was all different bits. I think it's flavouring or something that she had lost. And looking everywhere for it in this cottage we were staying in. We've only been there like a day at this point. She lost it like straight away. Not on the last night, we had a doll that she bought at Paracon, and like a creepy doll, and it had been sat on this side table for the whole 5 days. And I was filming one of the other girls, Natalie, for the filming for the documentary in the cottage, some thoughts and stuff. All of a sudden, the doll just fell, like, on this table. I got it on the camera, and underneath the doll was this vape thing, and it's like she's like, there it is. Like, you've had it to the doll. Like, you've had it this whole week. You've had my vape, but one, she'd been there for 5 days and hadn't moved a centimeter. But and when she was putting the doll on the table, she wouldn't have put it on top of something. Like, you put it on on a flat surface, or it stands up, like it sits up straight. But it was clearly like in the middle, so it would have been like a proper bump where she sat on. She shouldn't have even been able to like sit up straight if it was like sat on something like a doll. It was sat on a cylindrical tube. It was something to do with the vape. It was just mad when he was saying vapes then, and just reminding me of this doll that was hiding Abby's vape for literally for 5 days. It's just a weird, and it fell over for no reason while we were like filming. It's just mad, but a little bit funny as well.
Do you think it had been there for the 5 days, or the fact that it was suddenly put underneath the doll that caused the doll to move? So it just like appeared.
Could have been. It was weird how it happened, and it fell quite. It was like it slowly fell. It proper tumbled fast, as if like somebody pushed it or something. So yeah, it could have been something. Could have put it back. One of these little creatures could have knew we were leaving, knew we were wrapping up for the time we were there, and thought, "Oh, better give it back. Let's hide it under this doll, and then knock the doll over in the process." Potentially.
Wow. Oh, there was something I saw on Facebook this last week, but I was talking to my husband about it, who I said he's a skeptic, and he said, well, anyone could fake this, and they could fake it, but I kind of believe the person who'd done it, so, you know, more fool me if it is a fake. So there was this girl, there was a camera in her grandma's house, and her grandma had sadly passed away. And so her mum kept popping in all the time and gradually was clearing the house out. And one of the last things that was there was this bag full of the grandma's kind of hospital clothes. And the mum was going to sort of take it to the charity shop, and it was up in the bedroom. And the kind of Ring doorbell thing, they had one that was outside, but the other half of it was kind of in the hallway for some reason. And the mum came in the house one day, and this bag was by the front door, and you can see her on the footage sort of opening the door, going in, and then stopping and looking at this bag and sort of looking around and picking it up and going, what the heck's this doing here? That was in the bedroom, and nobody else had been in the house. So the daughter rewound all the footage, and it showed this bag literally appearing out of thin air in the hallway, like it just apparated and appeared. Now that obviously could be faked, but she said it wasn't. And if that's true, then that's amazing, really.
Have you got a link to that footage?
I can try and find it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
I just can't remember which group. You are?
I said I knew Greg was going to ask that. That's why I was going to ask, but I thought, no, Greg's going to ask and let him.
Because it'd be good. That's the kind of stuff that that needs to get put out to people, like a wider audience, just to get people's thoughts. And like you say, Michaela, it could be fake. It could, might not be. And we speak to so many people. We're on, like, we've had over 300 odd episodes and 400, something like that. And everybody's experience, like Ash said, is quite a personal one with the paranormal. So who's to know whether or not the footage is real, whether it's not real? You can only take the person's word for it at the end of the day. And I like to think that most people have a sense of, you're talking to somebody.
It's on here. Sorry, I found it. Oh, shush, I turned it off. Sorry, carry on. I'll send it to you.
You got your blur on. I couldn't even see it. Um,
Sorry.
but but I don't know if you're the same, Daryl. That you when you speak to people, you can get a sense of whether or not the story or the experience they're sharing is bullshit. You can tell, like you can get a sense from people pretty quickly as to whether or not what they're saying is the truth. We've spoken to people and it's been very questionable about whether or not we're even going to put the episode out because of
Yeah,
what they've said to us.
yeah.
But you can only like you can only go on what that person says. So I don't know if you've had any experiences, Daryl, where you've sort of been speaking to people and there's just the thing's so out there and so or just so crazy, for want of a better word. That I
Well,
don't know
I
what
think
what.
the weird thing with me is since being doing this for 7 years is my gift has come out. It's literally just it came out of the blue, like doing the paranormal, and I was thinking, what is this like? And then noticing that obviously I do have a gift that is naturally just brought out, but it was only the
Can you
paranormal that.
explain that a bit more?
Well, so with my gift, it's like I could be a psychic or medium. I don't know what it is yet. It's one of them that I'm still learning. 7 years later, I haven't set gold of what it is, but with doing it, it's weird. I know it sounds weird that when people are talking, that after a while it got stronger. So that if I was talking to someone and someone was lying, um, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here or not. So if someone was lying, I would get someone in my ear saying bullshit, bullshit. And then after a while, I was thinking, am I losing the plot? I'm keep hearing this, like, and I'm like standing there, trying not to laugh while I'm hearing this, talking to someone, telling their story, and I'm thinking, can't laugh, but I'm like, and now I've come to the terms that it's to do with my gift. So now I finally found out that I've got two um I can't remember what we called them, but their names are Sandra and Sebastian, the French man. Um, and yeah, but every time someone does lie, the bullshit comes out, and it's funny because every time I hear it, I'm talking to someone, and I know that it's. But the worse the story, that's the lie, is the higher the louder the bullshit gets, and it's weird. It's quite funny. I have to keep like I have to like be talk like listening without trying to smirk, and yeah, it's strong. And I've just lost train of thought.
Spirit
I've literally,
guides. Is that what you meant?
that's the spirit guide. Yes, literally, my brain is just like yeah, spirit guides, and I can't even remember what I was talking about now. Train of thought's gone.
That's
That's the
okay.
other thing as well. Having gifts is that yeah, the spirits can just like knock you off thought and what you're talking about, and I can't even remember what I'm talking about.
So that's all right. Do they give you any other advice, or do they just call bullshit on people? Because
Um,
obviously, after a while, that's quite a
I found that was a bit of a weird
quite a
one,
weird
and I did speak to a
thing.
few people, and they said no, it's that they would tell you how it is and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, okay. Um, the other things, just trying to think. Obviously, I've had if someone's like innocent, like if someone's been accused of something and they're innocent, I get they're innocent. So TV shows, people that have been wrongly accused, I've been watching and I've had innocent. And the more I watch these programs, innocent, innocent, and it gets louder, like the bullshit with the lies. And I'm sitting there and thinking, are you actually trying to say that they are 100% innocent? They did not do that crime, and I just get innocent, innocent, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm sitting there going, but I must be innocent. If my spirit guides are physically shouting that at me, then you know what I mean. But like with that, I wouldn't know where to start. Who do I phone calls? Like, excuse me. By the way, I was watching a program. I spirit guides are saying you're innocent. You can't. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
well. What do they say about politicians?
Bullshit.
But there's something called bullshit. Say bullshit if they're like innocent, or it's like they're innocent. But it's weird because I have to focus on it, but then don't have to focus on it. So it's a bit of a combination of when stuff happens. Hence why I want to get my gifts a lot stronger. It's very, yeah, it's sometimes when I want to have the gift and be there and stuff, it doesn't necessarily, it's all about not putting yourself under pressure and stressing yourself out, because I found putting yourself under stress and pressure doesn't nothing. So, yeah.
How do you go about trying to develop this? Because I mean, that's because it's something that you obviously can't go to look at normal. You don't. Well, I know people can have like psychic training and stuff, but there isn't. How do you do it? I don't
I
get it.
think it's different for everyone, really. Like with me, I can't do meditation. I struggle at that.
Hmm.
A majority of stuff that people said to me, I struggle. And someone said to me once that if you listen to Native American music and lay there, it could help. But I found that that was an outer of body experience, like completely, like probably quite high up out of body experience for me to come back down to be like, was that real? You know what I mean? What was that, just my mind making me feel, or did I actually have an out of body experience to come back? It's to this day have not found what could help. I've just found that let it happen naturally. If it's a gift, it was meant to come out at the time that I do the paranormal, so I'm letting it roll. But for it to get stronger, I don't know what to do. Like I'm really struggling to find things to,
Mm.
because I know it sounds weird, but I want to hear the spirits like I'm talking to you guys. I want to see the spirits. Um, I'm prepared to see darkness, but I can deal with it. You know, I know it sounds weird again, but I don't run. I'd rather stand tall. The only time I would run is if something physically scratched me, drawn bloods, um, pushed me like with an actual force. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go. But other times, I would like to stay there, talk to them, and just hear their story, hear their life.
Mm. Do you know what I joined this week? I joined a spiritual development circle. I know quite a few people who've done that, and they're really informal. And it's just like what it sounds like. It's people who want to work on their psychic ability or whatever. And there's usually one person that leads the group, and you do kind of exercises. Like there might be a bit of meditation, and then they'll get you to sit with someone and see if you can kind of do like a reading for them. And basically, it's just like exercising a muscle, and it's really fun actually.
Yeah, I'm good at doing readings. I've scared a few people with my readings, and I'm like, you know what I mean? That's where I
Yeah,
know I'm got the gift, because for
yeah,
me to say stuff that I don't know nothing about, you know, what I mean, it's weird.
whatever. I'd do, yeah, I'd go to a psychic development circle. The one I went to is really friendly as well, and it's really helpful.
I'll have to find one up here because I've just moved up here, up Northwich way, and yeah, I'll find them. Hopefully, there's one up here.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a few, yeah, definitely. But I found it really helpful, and it makes you feel safe because there's other people kind of doing the same thing as you.
Yeah.
Kind of while we're on the topic, Daryl, it's your first time on the show. Do you want to give us a bit more of a background into you, where you're from, and kind of how your whole paranormal journey kind of started and all that.
Yeah. So started obviously paranormal 7 years ago. Um, down down south, down an area in Kent. Um, I started because I wanted to document. You know, I found that it was time for me to do this, to document, to get to know the spirits. Um, I think from a young age as well that when I don't know how old I was, I think I was six, between 6 and 8. I had a room that I used to share with my brother. It was one of them divided walls, so a big room that was divided into two. So I come out to go to the toilet and I see this figure in white, and it was of a woman. And obviously, I stood there looking, thinking, because obviously I was half asleep, and I'm looking and thinking, is that my mum? Is that not? To realise it's not my mum. To step forward, to be like, I need to go to the toilet. I'm just gonna run past it. To step forward for it to come at me, for me to run back in my room under the quilt for like an hour, not coming out, and definitely 100% that was real, to the point where it it made me believe and understands that my first house, well, understanding why my first house had a weird energy, like it was upstairs, it wasn't downstairs, it was upstairs. Um, which I think if you guys had gone in there, you'd be like, downstairs is all right, calm, collective. Go upstairs, or what the hell? That's a different level of energy altogether. So from that experience, started believing, and then over the years, I've seen ghosts, spoke to ghosts like I'm speaking to you now, because to realise when they leave, to look back, because situations they'll all be dressed up. Obviously, the period of time that they obviously died and stuff. To look back, to realise they've gone, to realise that there was nowhere for them to pop off out of the way. You know what I mean? And I don't know if anyone else had that experience of physically talking to a spirit, like I'm talking to you guys, or you're with a mate in person. It's very peculiar. And when I did first tell people about it, it was like, you do realise that that was probably a ghost. And it's like, and I'm like thinking about it, thinking, well, yeah, because for them to disappear so quick, you know, you would have had the chance to look round to see them walk and disappear, but to look round to completely disappear straight away is it's a, you know, a peculiar one. And then where else? Again, my thought pattern's gone. I don't think the spirits want me to talk, so jogging my memory. Um, but yeah, to document it in 7 years ago, to meeting loads of people, teams, down to Ships and Mallet, Ancient Ramin, which I found to be good places. I've noticed a lot of people have said that they obviously don't have activity here or activity there. I think it's sort of how they've approached it. Um, so I've had activity everywhere I've gone, whether not caught on camera, but I've caught it in person, and I always put up my videos, because it doesn't matter if you capture something or not, but if you've captured it, you captured yourself capturing it, it's still worth documenting, because you know I'm legit, I'm real. You know, a lot of people have said I'm fake because of how I react, but I'm like, no, I'm just documenting me, documenting myself, seeing what's out there. Um, but there is videos out there that you would look at and be like, that's some good evidence. And I'm like, definitely 100%. Like Stokes Haunted Museum, the gasp. Um, that was scary, because in the video, you see me hear it and the camera hears it. I go, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And I'm like, I hope I caught that on camera, like, you know what I mean? But it's absolutely epic of all that I've documented and all what I've caught to say 100% spirits live amongst us, and it's worth anyone that's on the fence or full blown skeptic to at least experience it, because it's real, very much real. And some of the stuff that's happened to me, you'd think, what the hell, you know what I mean? Like, I've obviously been scratched. I've been scratched, normal scratch. I would say dark energy scratch. I don't say the D word because it's used too many times, and how people use it, it's a bit, you know what I mean? You have to pull it in the right contents, you know what I mean? I've been punched. I've been moved. Literally, I was walking down a tunnelway, filming, and all of a sudden, it felt like it was just like moving like that, but it was me being moved, and I had to stop and turn around to my mate, and thinking, "Whoa, what the hell just happened?" It was like, "What?" It was just like it just felt like someone just moved me, but without the tunnel moving, if that made sense. And yeah, I've been grabbed, like with my arms like pulled back. Um, Obviously, I've had the blindness. I don't know. This is the other thing as well, because I haven't told a lot of people. I don't know if anyone's had blindness, like literally complete blackout blindness, to come back to vision, to realization. Right, I blacked out there. You know what I mean? But still upright. Is that anyone know about that, or is it just me? Or is that something I should be careful
No,
about?
maybe you need to get checked out.
No, but it only happens when I do the paranormal,
Oh,
and I don't know. Now I'm looking back and thinking, is that the spirit's proper affecting me? But the thing is, I don't know. It's just I'm not in thought, because you know when you're in thought, and I don't know if you've had it where you do go into the thought so much, you just you come out of yourself, and then you have to come back into reality to be like, "Oh, yeah, overthought there." But this is different. This is literally pitch black, like
oh,
just out of
oh.
the blue. Um, it only happens for seconds, but it's just weird. I don't know if that's normal or has happened to anyone else, but it happened to me. If someone else has had that, please get in contact with me, because I would
I
like
know.
to know.
Oh, have you ever had that thing where your body shudders? This has happened to me so many times, and when I was about 10 years ago, I actually thought, am I having some sort of episode here? And it was like it literally just happens for a second, and it's like if you imagine what it would be like being in quite a strong earthquake, but just for a second, everything goes like under my feet, and my whole body just kind of goes like that, and then it stops, and then I'm like, what was that? Have I just had some sort of
I
epileptic fit or something? Or
I
it,
that because some of the time, if my friends had kept the footage, there'd be a few times where you'd see, you know, when a cat like completely like just like that, you'd watch me do that, and I'm like, oh, what's happening? Like a cat effect. I'm like, but they don't have the footage, and I'm like, kick them because they deleted it because they weren't going to do what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, you should have just given it to me, because that would have been epic, you know, bloopers.
uh,
But yeah,
maybe things affect people in just very different ways.
I think the spirits love me because they affect me in so many different ways. I do not understand why. It's it's the, you know, ancient ramen that gave me bowel like a
Oh,
this.
don't talk to me about that. I'll tell you why. I am booked in. I was booked in. I was booked in on the 23rd of November to go there and stay overnight with Barry Guy and his team. And very sadly, we're going through quite difficult financial problems
Mm.
at the moment. And my husband went, we can't afford for you to do that and travel there and stay overnight. And I agreed, and I'm absolutely gutted because it's been booked for months, but we hadn't paid for it yet. So it was like, so tell me it was really rubbish and that I'm not missing anything.
It's been awful the times I've been.
That's it. Good.
Awful. What do you mean?
I'm joking, trying to make her feel better.
Oh, don't.
No, I was petrified the last time I went.
Awful. It was absolutely awful. Nothing happened. So no, a chicken didn't drop. Nothing.
They're probably going to tell me how amazing it is after they've been. I'm just going to weep.
All I can say is different effects happen to different people out there. You know, I truly believe, you know, every person that goes there has a completely different effect in whatever aspect. But, you know, obviously some people have said they've gone there, nothing at all come. And then other people have had absolutely all sorts go on. You know, I think people have run out of there at times, and it's, you know what I mean? So it depends on the person and how you go about it, and, you know, so if you get the chance, it just see what happens. That's all I say is I don't think any one person has, or any two people have the same effect, like of what happens. I think everyone is completely different.
Yeah, I will go one
Interesting.
day.
You should. It'll be good one day. Well, it's interesting you say about and we discussed about personal experiences. We were on the podcast last night, and Ronnie Kinsella was saying that it's in this massive black triangle overhead. And Ash, you'd mentioned the fact that people send you reports, UAP reports, and over towns, and nobody else seems to see this one thing. And I wonder if it is very similar to the paranormal, because some people seem to have loads of activity all the time. Like you say, Daryl, you get stuff all the time. I mean, I've been on paranormal investigations and nothing's happened loads of times. But then people that I know also, they have stuff happen all the time. And it just seems that it's so personal to everybody that, like you mentioned, no two people have the same experience, even potentially on the same night or the same investigation or the same UFO experience, for example, that people just don't see it or affected the same way. So it's a weird one. And is that why we don't hear about it as much? Because people seem to think that they're the only ones experiencing that one particular thing, when in actual fact everybody's experiencing it at the same time, but nobody knows that anybody else is, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know if that does. It's a bit like a Men in Black type situation, I suppose. Everybody thinks they've forgotten it, but everybody knows it. I don't know.
No, yeah, good points. And you mentioned the haunted Stoke Museum. We've been there as well.
We have
weird stuff happen. Not a whole lot of stuff.
No.
We had some stuff happen there. Quite a good place. I'd go back for sure.
Yeah, I've been as well. Yeah.
Oh, we've all been. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Is that where we do shots? Because we've got bingo with everything.
Full house.
Lemon Coke. That's all right. It's only lemon Coke.
Michaela, recent investigations you've been on. You want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, I went to Shepton Mallet Prison recently and had a very, very odd experience. And it was so odd that, when you sort of, you're in the middle of something, when something really big happens and you're thinking, am I dreaming? This can't be happening, because it was so incredible. So we were in this particular cell in A Wing, I think it was, cell 17. and we decided that I think there were 4 of us in there, so it was a bit of a squash because they're very small cells. And we started calling out, and we had 2 different EVPs running, and we were sort of saying, "Hello, is there anybody here?" Blah 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 blah. And we had a camera rolling as well, and I can't remember what it was that happened first, but I started to feel really odd, and I was holding the voice recorder, and on the top of my hand, I felt this. It was like someone's hand going like this on the top of my hand, and I said to everyone, "Oh, I feel like somebody's touching my hand," and it was really odd. It was like with somebody's nails, and then as it carried on, it felt like the hand went underneath my hand and was kind of stroking underneath my hand like this. And I was stood there going, because I thought, sometimes if you have, it's like a cobweb feeling, and it happens for a second or two, and then it kind of goes away, and you think, oh, I must have been mistaken. Maybe it was, I don't know, a breeze, or I don't know. But the more I was stood there, the more it was happening, and it was getting stronger. And it just so happened that night I started to come down with the most awful virus. It was like COVID, but I didn't test positive. And every time I've had COVID, I've had it 3 times, and it always starts the same way. The night before I start feeling really, really ill, I sneeze about 500 times, just like one after the other, just sneeze, 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 sneeze. And this was happening at Shepton Mallet Prison. And I completely ruined all the EVPs all night because I was just going, achoo, 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 and then going, oh, my nose is running, and then blowing my nose. I mean, literally the whole night, that's all I did. They must. And they even commented afterwards, they're like, well, we couldn't really get anything off the EVPs because of Michaela's sneezing. I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was so ill that I was in bed for 5 days after. Anyway, that's by the by, but it is quite relevant. So I was stood there and I felt this weird sort of sensation. And then that stopped and I felt someone touching my hair. And then I thought, no, I'm really going bonkers now. But it was like a kind of tickling on my head, and I could feel individual hairs on my head being touched. And it was really strong. And it got so strong that actually it started to freak me out a bit because I'd had an incident at my haunted hotel a couple of years before where something similar happened, but on the back of my neck, and it felt like somebody with a really long fingernail was scratching the back of my neck, and it got stronger and stronger and harder until it started to hurt, and I had to actually move away because I thought it was a spider on the back of my neck, and I'm not scared of spiders. So again, I thought I had a massive spider on my head, and I was stood there saying, can anyone see a spider on my head? Because I can feel something touching my hair, and it got stronger and stronger. And then in the end, I just kind of shook myself because it just really freaked me out. And then back on the EVP, there was one bit of EVP on one voice recorder, not my one, but the one that my friend Sindel had, it's got a bigger range than mine. And on it, a voice said, I can't remember the exact words. It was something like, you've got a cold. And it said, and what we'd done was we'd done that, and then we'd reviewed the footage, and Sindel said, I can hear somebody saying it's cold. But it wasn't, because what happened a few minutes later was then I was starting to be touched. And then Sindel and I looked at each other and went, oh my God, it wasn't saying it was cold. It was saying, you've got a cold. And it actually knew that I had a cold. And I could feel it. And it was one of the most, I don't, one of the most kind of concrete experiences I've ever had. It was really odd, really odd. But it was amazing. But it only lasted for a few minutes and we didn't get so much the rest of the night. But it was quite incredible, actually.
Wow, that's pretty. That's pretty. But like we've been talking about kind of personal experiences and stuff, and that's quite personal, up close and
Yeah.
personal. That must be pretty mad. Did anybody else have anything happen to him like on that night? Do you know?
Not in our group, but other people in other groups, because it's a big place and there were loads of other people there. But it's big enough so that you can spread it. I mean, I don't. Have you been to Shepton Mallet Prison? You've been, Daryl. So you can actually do your own little investigation quite easily without any noise pollution from other people. And some other people said that they'd got EVPs and a lot of stuff. I mean, there was a lot of REM pod activity and things like that, but I don't really set a lot of store in electrical equipment like that. I don't know, it just doesn't feel, I don't feel connected to it. It doesn't, I'm just like, oh, there's a light going off. Woo. Um, I like to have a personal experience, like being scrapped with big nails, things like that. But a lot of other people said they had other stuff, but not necessarily in that cell.
Interesting.
So,
What do you have happen there, Daryl? You know, you've been there. Do you have anything kind of big happen?
So, just trying to. I know that was it right at the top where there's is it shower rooms and toilets? I can't remember. I
depends
mean,
which bit.
but I think it's right at the top. It's either right at the top or one of them at one of the ends. There's toilets or showers on one of the levels. And I was with someone else and we was walking around, and we walked in, and on one of them we walked both in to be like, oh, what the hell? Something hit us. It wasn't wind or anything. It was like a pure energy burst just come at us both. Like went through him to me, past me and out. And it was just like, and the weird thing is there was some bats, and then the next minute you hear was all these bats just fly everywhere, like scatter and everything. And we was like, nah, we ain't coming in there because whatever that is, it's just, yeah. But I don't know whatever happened in there must have been someone must have been murdered in there. Was saying it was stabbed up, shanked, as the terms are for the jail terms, shanked. But heard noises. I heard loads of voices that weren't us or anyone in there. Um, on the Necrophonic app, there was stuff that was coming through from uh, a friend that I knew and was his voice, and a family member that came through. It was still alive at the time, both still alive, and it was the exact voices, and they were talking to us, and I found that very weird. Like, I couldn't explain to you why. I don't know whether it was because I'll tell you like a rough side of it. My brother and my dad have been to prison before, and I don't know whether that was some sort of thing coming through because I've just come into a prison, maybe not in use anymore, but it's still a prison. And I don't know whether that was due to that or what, but it was a bit weird. You know what I mean? Two people that are still alive coming through their actual voices. And even the other person was like, that's weird. Well, why is that doing that? You know what I mean? Which I found weird. And apart from the bats attacking us, nothing else happened really. You know, the church part was dead. Oh,
No,
and
he's
there's
gone.
Steve. He had enough. He doesn't want to hear anymore.
It's gone to jail.
But yeah, that's all that I had. And I think the two that come through that I knew of their voices and talking to me might have been spirits manipulating obviously, knowing who I was and followed me there and realised, obviously, I'm in a prison. My dad and my brother being in prison. You know, it was just, yeah, there was some weird stuff did happen. You know, but it was weird being in a prison, knowing that my brother and my dad had been in prison. Like visiting area is different to the main area, and me being in all of it, it was weird because it got me memories back as well. It was like I'm in a prison, and it was like my dad and brother being in prison, and I know how how it could have been for them. You know what I mean? So it was weird experience.
Cool. Well, thanks for that. I think that's bringing us up to around the hour mark. So, any final thoughts from anyone before we wrap up?
No, all good from me.
Love and
No,
peace, everyone.
I'm sure there's probably something I'll go, oh, I should have said that.
There's always next time. There's always next time. But yeah,
I'll put that video clip up. Michaela sent me the video.
Oh, yeah.
Clip, so I'll put it up on our page and see what people think to it.
So yeah, that was it. It was on a TV show, Paranormal Caught on Camera, which me and my youngest son. It's the one program that I can persuade a member of my family to watch with me. The one program, so that's our paranormal time together. So I love that show.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks Daryl, thanks Michaela. Daryl, where can our listeners find your videos? Where can you be found?
My videos on my YouTube channel, obviously Paraman, Instagram, Facebook. My Facebook is my normal Daryl Evans, but I do have a highlighted Paraman, so with a red background of my face. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and that is it. I do believe.
Awesome. And Michaela, remind us.
So it's Paranormal or What podcast, and you can get it on all good podcast apps, Spotify, Apple, Castbox, Podbean, and all the rest. Google. I've got a Facebook page, which there's three that are linked now actually, because I've opened a business one now as well. So there's two for Paranormal or What podcast, and one under Michaela Ford. Instagram as well, Paranormal or What podcast. And I am on TikTok. I've got a rather weird kind of mishmash account because I couldn't figure out how to work it properly. So because I do comedy sketches as well. So I've got these kind of weird paranormal / weird comedy sketches that I've been doing on there on TikTok. Yeah, I think that's it. And Insta.
Nice one. And we're Pursuit the Paranormal. Find us everywhere. PursuitTheParanormal.co.uk or .com.co.uk. And yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Daryl.
It's only been 4 years. 4 years, you'd think it.
And yeah, have a good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming on. It's been a great chat.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal with Ash Ellis. Title music created by Steve Yarwood and Ambienfinity. If you like the show, please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X, and Instagram. And if you really like the show, please rate and review the show wherever you are listening. It really does help. See you next time, and until then, stay weird.